Stay tuned for your next exciting episode of Vinyl Village Garage, your Firebird Restoration Station. This episode, how much does it cost to restore a 1968 Firebird top to bottom, nut and bolt, every part, piece? I just lost where I was going with all that, but it doesn't matter. Nonetheless, what I want to do is get your attention. Of course, if it's your first time stopping by, I appreciate you hitting the play button because you like to know how much it's going to cost to restore that car back there. Well, that's what we're going to do, just that. We've got pictures of it, got some videos. The car's in mostly original condition, but it's not in the greatest of shape. You start tearing into it, a lot of rust. You're going to find that car was in Indiana and the dude drove it in the salt. That never happens to a relic like that, right? Well, it happens a lot, especially here in the Rust Belt. You understand what I'm saying. These cars rust out. Now, what I do here on this channel, 2-car garage, restore cars. There's one of mine in process right now. There's one that I finished. That's the third bay. We pretend that's not there because most people don't have that. But the idea is the 2-car garage. That's my workshop. That's the work area. That's where we're going to get all this stuff done. I say, if you guys have tuned in before, you know what to expect. We've got the orange Mountain Dew and the brick going, but if you've not been here before, hey, no worries. You're not really falling too far behind because this is a new series that you don't want to miss out on and see how much this thing is going to cost. So even if you don't want to restore a car, you want to know how much it costs in parts to put one of those back together, well, I plan to keep you involved on that, keep it running total and see how bad it is or how good we did. And if you like, take some bets out there showing you some videos of what this thing looks like. Put it in the old comments down below. Let me know how much you think it's going to cost to repair or restore. Now keep this in mind, labor is not included in that price because this is a DIY channel. Do it yourself, educate you how to do this stuff. So we're gonna leave labor off the table, but if you had to buy the parts, how much do you think it's gonna cost to put that car together? That's kind of what this series is gonna be about. Not just doing it here in the 2-car garage, but how much is it gonna really cost you? So nonetheless, a little intro kind of popped in my head because, you know, I watched Saturday morning cartoons as a kid, and that was how they hooked you, but probably Transformers was my favorite one. Now, where I'm going with that, I have really no idea. Just kind of rambling, but I guess you say Transformers. How does that relate to my life today? Well, I transform these rusty old cars into something really nice that you can drive, take anywhere, and have a lot of fun and enjoy sharing with your friends. So, nonetheless, I said a whole lot, or maybe not enough. Either way, we're going to get started on that there. So, guess we'll get the camera out here, see what we can find, and start tearing that thing apart. I had a question on how to get the wiper arms off, at least how do I take them off. Now this technique works great for a car that doesn't have pretty paint, because there's always a chance of marring the surface, but you could probably insulate it with something like a piece of cardboard or something. But either way, get the wiper arm off, however you look at it, see fit. You look up right here in front of my little screwdriver, my tech driver, there's a little lever. That's what actually locks the thing on. We gotta pry that thing up to release it as you're pulling up on the wiper arm. So that's gonna be step one, is pry that up. But once you get that release undone, I just take a wrench, shove underneath here. This is 9/16, and just pry up. Now I'll go ahead and pull this arm off. You can really see that mechanism. You see a little tab there that you have to actually bend out of the way, so, or pop that little, I guess you say the chrome part up to get that to release. And occasionally you get lucky and that little lever isn't even on there. But here's the idea. Hook it in here. If you had to release it, push up on it. Let's do this and prise the wiper off. Again, I wouldn't do that to a shiny new paint job kind of car, but you can tell this paint's not in the greatest shape. We're getting ready to blow this car apart to paint it, so who cares? Next little quick tip here, the T-handle shifter you see on these cars from the factory. Pretty cool option, but in case you didn't know how it all comes apart, take this center console out. This little plastic handle, only push it up and down, just kind of give it a little tug, and it'll pull off the top. This little plastic, or say metal tabs, just kind of lock onto the actual stud here. So that's out of the way. And everything else that holds it on, there's a little tiny Allen screw right there in front of my finger. So just take your little Allen key, Allen wrench, or the thing that spins it round and round, put it in there, back that off a couple, 3-4 turns. It's kind of like a set screw or a jam screw. And then with that out, there you go. That's all it takes to get the handle off one of these old second-gen birds. Of course, one of the cool things about gutting an interior out of a car that's been sitting forever, you know, of course, it's 50 years old, so anything's possible in these old cars, under the seats, behind the seats, in the dash, or sometimes hidden gems while they assemble these cars from the factory. But it's always kind of fun tearing apart. It's kind of like an archaeological dig of old goodies. So don't always find something super fantastic each time, but we'll see if we find any goodies when gutting this old bird here. But one of the really cool things I'm going to show you down here. And this is something the owner actually added years back to the car, and I plan on polishing that and putting it back on because I think it's an absolute cool little novelty item. It still brings some history back to the car, but not an extreme modification, but that's going to go back on the car. But anyway, we'll get this interior torn out. Seats are obviously worse for wear. Center console is actually in fantastic shape for a factory console. I've already got it partially loose. And here's a really cool thing here inside the glove box. There's your tire sticker. It's still actually intact and completely 100% legible. I might see if I can salvage that. And even the cardboard, I guess you say, the insert here for the actual glove box. I mean, this is the original, really fantastic condition. So same thing, I'll see if I can save on that and use it over. Now the steering wheel, well, love the steering wheel, but it's got some issues here. We got some cracks in it, but I have a way to restore that, so that's gonna be one of the things that we do too. So I guess enough running my mouth. Let's get this interior plucked out of the bird and move on to the next part. Well, I couldn't help but found something here, maybe of really cool interest, and I wanted to share it with you just the same time that I found it. But this is under the rear seat. Don't know if this thing's been out, but don't know what it is, but we are about to find it. Well, look at that. Ugh. Well, I don't know if it's really all that cool, but still kind of a neat little piece of paper. Has like some of the options, some things that are checked off, and some of the bits, and then clearly a mouse or some kind of critter decided to make dinner or a home out of it. But I'm gonna give this back to the owner. Kind of I guess a little cool find so far at this point, but we'll see what else we can find. But making some progress. Got the seats ready to come out. As I was standing in the floorboard here on the passenger side, well, I fell through. So we know it has some rust issues, but wanted to share that with you. Let's get back to gutting the interior. So there you have it. The bird has been plucked from just about 90% of its parts, a few little small odds and ends, but got it gutted far enough that I think we can make a solid assessment of what sheet metal I need to order for the same, because a few things to keep in mind. Sheet metal, few and far between, prices have gone up, and I want to do a bulk order to save on some money on shipping because, well, we aren't made of money in this world. Try to do the best we can and save a few bucks whenever it's possible. So if I can put it all in one box and one pallet and ship it to us, it's going to be the way we're going to try to handle this, save a few bucks on shipping, because the whole idea here, how much does it cost to restore a car in your own garage on a budget, I guess you could say. How can we save money? Well, bulk shipping. So let's make an assessment, see exactly what we have to work with, what parts we need to get on order. Well, let's start here at the front. This is the engine. We're not going to do anything with this time around, but we will be doing something else for a teardown to find out why it's smoking and leaking and doing all the bad stuff. But it is a 1968 350, so I'd like to retain that as long as we determine it's salvageable. Of course, we got a little rust checker here. You guys have seen these before. They're pretty common tools, but it kind of helps you kind of gauge maybe how good or bad some of the stuff is. But let's start at the front of the car. Firewall. Let me tell you right now, this is one of the best firewalls I've seen in any car, especially the window channel. So if you're keeping tabs and score, well, so far we're hitting a home run here. No rust at all. I trust you when I get here close to the camera. That's just the autumn bronze paint and dust. This isn't actually rust at all whatsoever. So huge score. Don't have to mess with that. Don't got to move the VIN, which you're not supposed to tamper, touch, do anything with, by the way. So don't have to worry about it on this car. The seam, fantastic shape here where it goes to the firewall upper and lower section. Even the transmission tunnel is in actually really nice shape. The only kind of strange is a massive dent on the driver's side. Now, it blows my mind how that happened, but that's going to get fixed. I put the toe board in, we'll hammer that back straight, etc. But the torque box, that part there, that big chunk of metal, it's rusted through. It's bad. It's no good. Really cool part is the cowl panel. This is where they don't get much paint on it from the factory. Nothing. Not even rusting through. That's solid. There's nothing happening there at all. Even the pinch weld, there's no swelling in it. So don't have to do any patching on the cowling. So far, we're looking pretty good for a solid build card here. Now, the only thing I did find when pulling the car apart, well, we've got that's what fails the rust checker. There's a hole in the corner of the roof. Now, I'm not going to buy a whole roof panel for these two little small holes. We're going to actually make a piece, weld it in, cut all this out. My guess is, see this little staple? They got a couple across the front. I almost bet they put one right here from the factory, and that caused a little bit of water to get in, and this is what you get. But even with that said, very minor rust for a car with a vinyl top. Like I said, I scraped most of the glue off, and you can actually see there's a bit of a shine to the paint. So there's a big bonus there. So at this point, we're looking really good. But I guess I'm going to tell you, we started on the good side. That's the bad side over there. Now, the door jamb opening. This is great. Nothing happening here. That's just some kind of surface rust. That's nothing poking through whatsoever. Rocker panel, great shape. Pinch weld, super clean all the way back. So don't need to do anything to the outer rocker or the door jambs if I didn't want to. The inner rocker, on the other hand, it's kind of hard to see it, but I could poke under the car. It's got some spots, so I'm going to order an inner rocker panel. So I guess you want to start making a list. Driver's side torque box. It's rusted out junk. I'll show you a little closer here in a minute. Toe board repair. There's panels 1, 2, 3. So toe board, torque box. Those are 3 pieces. You're going to keep score, write all that down. 1 piece floor pan. Well, it's just going to start off. It's going to call it what it is. This is a patch. It's not even contoured right. It's kind of laid on top of the rusty, crusty, busted old floor. So we're going to replace that and get you under here. You can kind of see they cut it out. It doesn't look awful bad, but that's not the right shape. There should be a body drain plug hole and everything. So we're going to buy a 1-piece floor pan and put it in the car for many reasons. Because, well, this has got some issues back here. Weight reduction, whatever you want to call it. Fails the rust checker. That's for daggum, I'm sure. These seat bases, on the other hand, well, they're not much better. They're not that expensive. So we're going to put 2 seat bases in it. So put that on the scorecard. So we're up to, what, 6 parts now? The rear here, unfortunately, this is big old rust bubble. Let's see if I can get the angle of the camera right. But that's the floor buckling up. There's lots of rust between the torque box and the floor pan. Fortunately, when you buy a 1-piece floor pan, that all comes with it. So that's going to get replaced while we're messing with it. Got a lot of dirt here, but got some rust here in the trunk floor. That's actually starting to chip away pretty bad. It's blistering from the inside. That's making like we're going to need a new trunk floor as we get back there. And there's the other thing. We found the build sheet under the seat over there. There's little flakes of the factory build sheet. So evidently the rodents thought that was a really cool idea to eat it, but they didn't touch the French fry. It's been there since probably 1980 something. Still almost looks new. Makes you kind of wonder why they want to eat that and not that. Anyway, besides that, the driver's side. Now, we're going to put a floorboard up. I want to kind of show you what we're up against. Now, what you see in front of you there, that is that hole right there. That's a floor, actually a hole. You can see the garage floor. That's the torque box. That's the important part of the frame, tying the subframe to the body. So that's bad. We're going to put a toe board on it, hammer the dent out underneath the gas pedal. That's going to, maybe that was a speed limiter. Maybe that's how that got broke too when it got hit. So I kind of like know the story, but we'll probably never find out. So you see some of the rust in here. We're going to need a floorboard. Something else is kind of cool, part of the history of the car, which I don't know the story, but see if I can get the owner. He can fess up to the big old bulge right here. That's not supposed to be there. And I give you bonus points if you can tell me where that's from, but my guess is we had a U-joint or dry shaft failure. That dry shaft came around and just smacked around inside the, I guess a dry shaft tunnel and beat things up for a bit, but that's kind of what it looks like to me. But we've got some serious rust going on here. Floorboard's junk. And then, of course, the driver's side, well, not looking much better. This isn't poking through, but it's not good. And there's that French fry again. But, oh, look at that. Got a little hole in the inner quarter panel. Now that I'll probably just patch up. But they do make this piece if you wanted to buy the whole piece. So once you get all this out, maybe add that piece to the parts list. So that's the inside of the car. So now we're back on the outside here looking around. Quarter panel. Bad. Rust checker says so. This quarter panel, this is the original paint from 1968. It's actually kind of a, man, that's a fantastic color. I'm looking forward to seeing this whole thing back that way. The outer quarter panel is no good, but I can get it from the inside and push that back out. So the outer wheelhouse is junk, quarter's junk. Inner wheelhouse, phenomenal shape. It still has the undercoating on it. So it actually peels off and you see the factory paint underneath this here. So I'm going to save on and leave that in place. Frame rails, I'll tell you, they're equally as nice. That just blows my mind. All to the rear of the car. So the frame rails, I'm going to recycle. The trunk drop off on this side doesn't look too bad, but I may be surprised and I may just go ahead and replace that thing. I guess you could say, fuel tank braces. And I guess they're all right, but no, the driver's side's junk. So we're gonna need a trunk floor. I was gonna say a whole one-piece trunk floor, because like obviously the quarter panel has some major issues, but the trunk floor, well, we got some rot through right there, rot through over there, rot through rot there, and we're starting to rot pretty good right here. So I think we're just gonna do a one-piece trunk floor. That gets to the trunk braces, and then takes care of all the rust in that cross member in the under the car. So I say one-piece trunk floor. And as for the tail panel, it's taking a pretty solid hit here. Right about here, get the camera right, you can see that's pushed in a lot more than the rest of the car. It's taking a pretty good hit somewhere in its life, and not to mention, we have a big old rust hole going on right there. So we're just gonna buy an inner and outer tail panel. And of course, while doing the trunk floor, going to replace that. Now what we see outside here, well, that's all the exterior sheet metal that I took off the car. Hood's in pretty good shape, but he added these a few years ago, maybe before I was born, maybe. And we're going to delete those. We don't want the hood pins no more. Other than that, the hood's in really nice shape. The fenders, driver's side fender, great. Passenger side fender, well, not so much. Fails there, rust checker. And even here, I'm gonna try to make this panel, but we're gonna send it to the media blaster and see what's left when it comes back and maybe make a decision. But if it's the straight, we can salvage that. Then we're going to put a patch panel back here in the back and make a go of that. Now the doors, they're in phenomenal shape, so they're definitely going to get reused. The trunk deck, junk. We're going to scrap it. We got about a 1/4 inch of putty in it right here, and we've got some blistering here from the inside where the outer and inner skin are reacting with each other. And look, I just pushed a screwdriver right through it. There is no really fixing that. These trunk decks aren't that expensive, so we're going to replace that. Passenger side door, great shape. Or driver's side door is in great shape. We're going to reuse it. Driver's side fender, same thing. We do a little patch on it, but that thing's in great, great, great shape. So I think it's a little close up here. This bad madness right here. That's ugly. That's why we're going to put a 1/4 panel on this side too. And then the rear window channel, I'll tell you, it's in really nice shape. I mean, it's just solid. There's nothing going on in here. Sandblasting this is going to clean up real nice. The only thing we got to do some fixing on this top corner here. I'd say I'm not sure what happened here, but I would say that's probably just from my vinyl top car. If that's all the rust I got to deal with in the two corners, one up there and one back here, I'll take it all day long. I've seen roofs. My buddy Brian Minson, I'm almost eager to make that thing a convertible. There's so much rust in this roof, it blows my mind. But that's another project, another day, another story. Now, driver's side, got a little more issues here. We saw that from the inside. Probably end up just patching this. I don't know for sure yet. I haven't decided. This here kind of peels off. I don't know. Might do an inner. I haven't decided yet. It's got its issues. Now, the really cool part is, this is the factory primer on the frame. Like I said, this just I don't get it. The frame rails are in fantastic shape, so I can't say that I've ever seen it work out that way, but we'll take that as a win. Now, the outer wheelhouse in the front, a little rough. Now, the only real surprise I had on the car when tearing it apart is, I'll show you here right now, the driver's side rocker panel. I'll tell you, the door jamb, just like rust dust here, but nothing going on. Looks really good. Rear of it looks pretty good. The unfortunate part is when I get down here, right about there. That's bad. The rocker trim covered that up, had rust holes through it. The pinch weld looks phenomenal. I wouldn't have guessed that it had issues, but it does. And not to mention, got a pretty gnarly dent right there. So I'll probably end up doing an outer rocker panel on this side. And then, of course, the rot through here, we saw that earlier. It's poking its ugly head. So those are things that we're going to doctor up and fix up while it's here. There you have. There's a list of all the pieces, parts we're going to get coming for this old Firebird and get it back on the road. So if any of this part of the project, any of the sheet metal repairs you want to see, well, stay tuned, subscribe, share with your friends. I know I say that a lot, but I want to share the knowledge and build a community of Firebirds and help you guys out on your progress on your, I guess, project cars in your garage, because my goal is to save as many birds as possible, educate you, and have a lot of fun playing cars. I'm 43 years old and just can't stop doing it. But unless you got the whole list, I want to get on the old computer, see what I can do for, like I said, bulk shipping, save on some, I guess, shipping costs. If I can get it put on one pallet and save a few bucks, that's the goal and that's the plan. You know, a little more money we have, a little more, like they used to say on some of the shows, more money left over, do more upgrades, maybe some modifications. But I don't know what video is going to happen next exactly at this point, depending how quick I get sheet metal, if I can get sheet metal. But I can say it's going to do something to pertain to this car. It's going to be a whole series of bringing this thing back to life and back to like original shape, but numbers matching engine. So we're going to do some modifications, but we're going to try to keep the outside of the car looking relatively stock. Autumn bronze, white vinyl top. So you don't want to miss this. I'm going to share it with your friends too, just the same. And again, if there's any part of this process you want some extra detail on, let me know. I'll make sure that I get the camera in there real good or get the pieces and parts you'd like to see. But starting to get dark out. My typical response, I'm getting a little bit hungry and done playing cars for today, and I got to work tomorrow. So got to do the real job to fund some of this madness. But appreciate you guys following me on this journey just the same. I said we'll do some more bird content. Not exactly sure what, where, why, when, but it will be something depending on parts availability and all that good stuff. So anyway, I have said enough. Appreciate you following me on this here. I'll get you back out here on the camera in the garage, and we'll catch you guys then.